Hey physicists, Mr. Hausman. We're going to take a look today at Newton's third law. So if you're kind of trying to keep in context all the different laws from Isaac Newton, there were only three of them. And the first law is the law of inertia. That's the tendency of objects with mass to either remain at rest or to remain in constant motion until acted upon by a force. There's Newton's second law, which is the application of force to cause a mass to accelerate. And we've used that extensively in problem solving. And then finally we get to Newton's third law. This is page number 11 in your packet and a supplement that you're going to be provided in class. And this supplement is just another material that we've used in the past. Okay, so Newton's third law, what does it say? Well, what it says is that basically forces exist in pairs. You can actually not have a force of one object acting on another without a second force immediately appearing, because forces are between objects, right? There has to be an object number one, or A, and an object B. If you're into grammar, you can think of it as two nouns, right? Two nouns have to interact. Well, the main story, or the key idea, is that if object A exerts a force on B, then B will exert a force back on object A. So if someone were to punch a punching bag, your hand is object A, the punching bag is B, and when A hits B, your hand hits the punching bag, the bag, which has got a heavy mass, is going to push back on your hand. Maybe you wouldn't say the word punch, but you're going to feel it in your hand, okay? So the key idea, and this leads to clearing up a lot of misconceptions, is that you have to have two objects, two nouns, and therefore you have to have two separate free body diagrams, two forces, but on two different objects. So here's a person leaning on a wall, right? That's an interaction. So we have the forces on the wall. Well, the wall is being pushed by the person, right? The force of the person, and this is the wall. But the person also experiences a backwards force. So now we have the wall, right? The wall. This is the force of the wall right here, pushing back. So the wall, you push on the wall, and the wall pushes back. So we've got different objects for which we are drawing the free body diagram. Okay, so here's two people at the office kind of goofing around, and they're using, I guess, rolly chairs. So here's the pusher, and here's like the anchor person, the other person. That person's feet are clearly anchored to the ground, and so what happens is the pusher experiences a force to the left, the other person experiences a force to the right. So we've got equal and opposite forces. Okay, we've got two different objects, they're pushing off in each other. Now here's a common mistake. A lot of people say that if you were to do the free body diagram for a person standing on the ground, you would automatically have Newton's third law, right? The force of gravity is sometimes equal and opposite to the normal force. That is the biggest mistake that people make. Well, that may be true. That is not Newton's third law, because do you notice that it is all the forces are on one object, the person. Now, what's the real Newton's third law? Well, you definitely experience a force of gravity, right? You are pulled by the earth. But the earth is also pulled back by your mass. There are actually always two forces of gravity. It's a mutual attraction. So here's you, free body diagram, force of gravity toward the earth, and here's the earth being pulled by you. Who pulls more? Well, if you understand Newton's second law, you know that they are equal and they are opposite. And where do we see that? We go back to our original formula. The force of A on B equals B on A. This one's a little more complicated. Air in the balloon. If you have an inflated balloon, the air is experiencing an inward force because of the latex balloon, the rubber of the balloon. The balloon is being pushed outward, and they are equal and opposite, okay? So let's talk about, those are stationary objects, right? Well, maybe the people pushing on the chair. But every single time we had two masses and we had forces on different ones. Okay, so let's see if we can explain some really common scenarios. Let's see if we can explain, how does a fish swim through water? As it turns out, right, the fins of the fish can move and they are able to push on the water. You also swim, so you push the water backwards. Water must be able to also push forward. It's not an action that the water thinks about, but when you push on water, the water pushes back on your hands, and in this case, the fish's fins, the exact same amount. So we've got a propulsion. Birds flying through the air. Well, the wings of the bird, let's see, how do they fly? Well, they push what? Well, wings push air molecules. They push the air downward, and therefore the air must push the birds upward. What about a car? Let's talk about a car. Most people are fundamentally know you push the gas pedal and you make it go. But it really depends on grip. Grip or traction is a concept where what doesn't seem possible because we just take the road for granted or the driveway. As it turns out, right, the tires grip the road and they push the ground backwards. Right? The grip of the tires. If there was no traction, if there was no grip, if there was no friction, you wouldn't ever go forward. But if you push the road backwards with your tires, well, then the road actually is what's pushing you forward. And we're going to see an example of that, okay? You can take a look at that last question if you want. That's a classic question. If a fly hits a windshield of a moving object, like a bus, which object experiences the greater force? And the answer is the force of the bug on the bus has to be equal to the force of the bus on the bug. Now, one object suffers catastrophic damage, right? The bug gets smushed. The windshield just gets dirty, right? It doesn't break the windshield. Well, that's just because they're stronger. Okay, here are some everyday real-life examples. So it's winter swim season at Algonquin, and one of the ways that you might find yourself getting some acceleration is you might push off on the wall after you've done maybe a flip turn. And the person is clearly extending their muscles, applying force on the wall, right? The feet are on the wall. And that, in consequence, is equal to the force that the wall pushes on your feet, okay? So we've got a wall experiencing one force and then the swimmer experiencing an opposite force. Therefore, this object, right? This object accelerates in the direction of that the wall pushed it. Here's that example of the tire. As this tire is rolling forward, this tire has to grip the road. And that's what they're made for. Their rubber and the tread pattern allow it to grab the road. Sometimes even when it's wet, even sometimes when it's icy. Depending on how the tire is made. And here's the tire pushing on the road. So if you think about it, at the point of contact, this wheel is actually rolling backwards. So the road gets pushed backwards, but as a consequence, the road pushes the tire forward. Now here's a silly but kind of obvious example. It's approaching winter, and we may have slippery roads. And let me see if I can't get this video to play real quick. And all it is a kind of a bus in a parking lot having trouble grabbing some traction. And you notice that because it's so slippery, those wheels are attempting to push backwards on the road, but because the road is covered in slick ice, there is no reaction force. Now, you may say, well, then that breaks Newton's second law. Well, what you can see is that it's shredding the ice, right? It's kind of breaking it up. Maybe that van will eventually get down to bare road and be able to grip. And this person who videotaped this just thought it was hilarious. Maybe they're out doing winter sports, And now along comes the chains. If you know what a chain is, it's used in severe winter weather. You kind of roll onto it. Oh, there they go. Now, I don't know why they're putting the chains on the front tires. I thought this was a rear-wheel drive vehicle. There we go. So that's the end of our quick video on Newton's third law. Hope that helped and you get good reinforcement so you're ready for our assessment tomorrow.